What's the good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here. So I'm sure you guys like me have seen all of these articles coming out about Jeff Bezos having an interest in buying the New York Jets. And I didn't want to click on any because I thought it was just a satirical website. Wasn't particularly interested in wasting my time reading something that has zero validity to it. But news is a little bit slow. I don't necessarily care to react to any of these games particularly. And so I decided to look into it. And not to say that there's any validity in what I've seen, right? All of this is pretty much speculation and it's just based around some available data or information. But I did want to kind of react to what that would mean, right? So it's effectively exactly what it means. Jeff Bezos is currently the favorite. There we go. He's the favorite to purchase the New York Jets. And this is according to an online gambling site, Biovada. Now, Jeff Bezos, this is newsworthy enough because he was part of the committee or group that was making a bid for the Commanders opening after the owner was effectively forced to vacate ownership of the Commanders team. Now, ultimately, that was snatched under him. Josh Harris purchased the Commanders for $6 billion. Jeff Bezos did make a pretty strong bid, though, and he was also partnered with Jay-Z, which we know is newsworthy, at least for the fact that Jay-Z has previously owned a team in the Nets, moved them over from Jersey to New York. Maybe you could see some similar things, and considering the fact that there were some lawmakers that also want the New York Jets to, return to New York, it would make a ton of sense at multiple different levels if somebody can pull off this move, right? Now, this is obviously based on one huge factor. Would the Johnson family sell the New York Jets? There's really no incentive, right? And I haven't looked heavily into this, but from the bird's eye view and just seeing the news and all that kind of stuff, there's really no incentive for an owner to sell his team unless you see a situation like the Commanders, where there's HR situations involved, right? There's either compliance related issues, there's some federal, regulation policy stuff that's going on. Outside of that, it feels like you can virtually go 0 for 17 every year as an owner, and you can keep that team. Not only that, and we'll ballpark these numbers, right? But if I recall, Woody Johnson bought this, I want to say it was in 2000, right? For about $695 million. The current value for the New York Jets is $6.9 billion. And you can't name a Super Bowl that's been accomplished in that time. You can't name a AFC championship that's been crowned in that time. So obviously the return on investment is significant here, right? So no incentive to sell, which really kills this whole conversation, but it is intriguing. When I look at Jeff Bezos, owner of Amazon, when I look at the connections, like him being partnered with Jay-Z, even there kind of being some Elon Musk affiliation, and for what it's worth, Elon Musk is the second favorite to own the New York Jets if somehow Jeff Bezos was to pass this over and Woody Johnson made it known. But it's intriguing. Amazon is a company that is effectively dedicated to streamlining any process, any infrastructure, effectively stripping it down to the bare bones and really getting as much bang for your money as you possibly can, right? So considering the fact that we're looking for strong organizational shifts, head coach, new GM, potentially new director of football operations, if something changes depending on who we hire, there's a lot that goes into it. Not only that, there's a ton of different departments and the whole nine, right? So if you bring in a business analytical mind like Jeff Bezos and apply it to the NFL, I would imagine you would definitely have one of the strongest front offices in the NFL in pretty short order. Now, when you take the football operations side out of it, when you take the business side out of it, and you're just looking at the football product, I would be concerned about how he would handle that, right? Because again, this is a guy that relies on a ton of data, looking at metrics all the time. But I do think there is a level of forward thinking with him, obviously looking at how he developed Amazon. And so I would be pretty intrigued by this. Ultimately, I think you can make the case that anything would be an improvement over Woody Johnson. I think that's just us being sick of losing year after year after year after year, and pretty much falling into the same trap. It's not like we're necessarily losing in different ways per se on a game by game basis, obviously, but a losing season being a losing season, any change would feel like a blessing here, right? So I would be all for this move. I'd be curious to see, again, how it plays out, what he's looking for, the type of people he would look to put in those prime positions for the New York Jets. But everything in me kind of feels like this would be a huge move. In that same token, though, Johnson & Johnson, obviously the I don't know fully what they do, but they're in pharmaceuticals, right? As their primary source of income, I would imagine, outside of the New York Jets. You would imagine that if you can run one wildly successful franchise or business, that you can apply a lot of those same elements to any other one, and that hasn't been the case with the NFL. So you can definitely make that argument for Jeff Bezos as well. Plus, if this ever was to come to fruition, keep in mind that his business is based out of Seattle, and I heard he would also be heavily involved if the Seahawks opportunity ever arose to go after them as well. So it's not like it's just a clear-cut, dry situation here, but I would be curious, what would it take for Woody Johnson to sell this team, and how quickly will we see guys like a Jeff Bezos or an Elon Musk or Jay-Z, or I made the argument when we talked about director of football operations with Curtis Martin. He's a group that also he's looking to purchase a minority stake in the Bills. Could he find a way to scramble up enough to take over an organization like this? But nonetheless, just kind of a throwaway topic here, something to kind of clear the mind a little bit. I probably will start trying to dive into more of the week-to-week stuff in terms of games and all that kind of stuff once again. But new baby, I'm tired. Don't really want to discuss what feels like an inevitable loss week after week here. But let me know ultimately what you guys think. The ideal of not just Woody Johnson leaving, but what do you actually think about the entity or the person Jeff Bezos taking over, and what kind of changes could be made to help turn things around here for the Jets? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.